Well, it was a joy for me to officiate at a beautiful wedding here at First Lutheran Church a couple weeks ago. And with God's presence and with their family and their friends, we blessed the marriage of a dear couple who made their vows, and we prayed for them for a lifelong faithfulness to each other and for joy in their marriage. And to all of you who are married today or preparing for marriage, may God bless you in your love and lifelong faithfulness and joy. And thank you. Thank you for your marriage. It is not an easy time. It's been overwhelming. So thank you for making your faith a mutual priority and for going to God whenever you need that extra love when things get out of sync, which they do, and always and in all circumstances for honoring each other, never intentionally hurting each other, and keeping a faithful relationship to each other, not letting anything, another person or work or anything else, separate you. And for those of you who are here, adults who are single, who are widowed, who are divorced, and for our children who are here, God bless you too with joy. You are part of our whole family here. You belong, and you are loved. God's plan from the beginning of creation, as we read, is that people would live together in community and would help each other. Jesus teaches that rather being separate, we form relationships, and in that way we become one together. We become the families and the communities where children are lovingly brought into the world and helped to grow in their faith. And we're going to recognize those helpers today in our service. You've heard in our sermons that Jesus wants the children to come to him to be blessed. And you may have noticed in our worship services this fall, sometimes they're a little bit louder when our more active little ones join us in church. But that's what Jesus commanded of us, of the disciples, to let the children come and be in his presence. Let them know that they're part. They belong in our family here. Parents and grandparents, you and great-grandparents, you are the most important models of faith for your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. They watch you. They learn from you how you live real faith in God, both in church and out of church. And all of us, by our examples of loving patience and care, are teaching our children what it means to belong at church and helping them to want to be here together with us, always. When I was a single parent with an active young son years ago, I so appreciated the kind grandparently people who sat behind my son and me in church, who could distract my son when he wouldn't listen to me. And for me, that felt like such a blessing of community at church. Jesus talked also about the law. Jesus talked about societies and God's law about divorce. And I want to talk about that because many people here are either divorced or have experienced that within their families and their close friends. Jesus said, divorce is a result of our hardness of heart. But divorce is not God's plan for you. I don't need to remind anyone that divorce causes hurtful separations in relationships that ripple through families and friends, often breaking God's commandments and making people feel angry and guilty and ashamed and alone. As a divorced and remarried and divorced again person, I hear Jesus' truth that I have broken the sixth commandment. I've personally experienced the pain and the shame that Jesus addressed. Jesus knows all too well our human condition of hardness of heart and sinfulness. It's something we cannot fix. But Jesus made it possible for us to go to him, to talk with him about our brokenness, and to receive his complete forgiveness and healing. With Jesus' help, we can forgive those who've hurt us, and we can ask forgiveness from those we have hurt. Divorced people aren't the only ones who've broken God's commandments. We all have. And the great blessing of being part of the family of God is that we always have access to God's grace. We have a place where we belong, a place where we have a helper, a place where we need not be alone. Jesus has a special request of us, that we never turn people away. Those who come here in their weakest, most broken condition are the ones that Jesus takes into his arms and holds. And if that's you today, trust that God can heal your brokenness and heal your heart. I know this. No matter what's happening in your family, you are a loved part of God's family with us forever. We are Jesus' disciples, and our part is to actively love our whole family. We can work on relationships that keep our community together, not separated. We can support marriages, praying for the marriages of our families and our friends, staying in touch and being there if we sense that they are having some troubles. And if you know someone who is divorced or divorcing or widowed or alone, pray for them. Stay in touch with them too. Let them know that they're always welcome here. Sit with them at church and at coffee. And regarding the little children in church, if you're able and if the parents indicate that they would appreciate it, then help them care for their little children during the service. And be the kind of disciples who bless the little children. Now, the Pharisees in our reading today thought that they could trip Jesus up by challenging him about God's law. Well, Jesus upholds God's law and teaches us the gospel, the good news, that he came to overcome the sin that separates us from God and from each other, so that we can be freed and blessed to live in faithful relationships in this loving community. May God bless us all. Amen.